today we're going to be doing a comparison video between the Octatrack and the MPC Live. So I did a comparison video between the Digitact and the MPC Live before because they were both samplers and sequencers that had just come out at the same time, but really the Octatrack and the MPC Live go head to head feature-wise. So which one is right for you? Let's find out. So the Octatrack and the MPC Live are both samplers and they're both sequencers. They both have 8 audio tracks, although on the MPC Live you get 128 tracks, which can be clips or MIDI tracks. If you got the X, it can be a CV track. So it's really not 8 tracks on the MPC Live, it's just 8 audio tracks. On the Octatrack we get 8 MIDI tracks and 8 audio tracks. The polyphony on the Octatrack is only 4-note polyphony. Compared to the MPC Live, it's 64-note polyphony. Honestly, when I'm sequencing, I do a lot of mono sequencing, so the 4-note polyphony doesn't really bother me as much because you get that electron sequencer. On the MPC Live, it's a step sequencer that you get, and it's really like working on a DAW with a touchscreen, which isn't a bad thing if that's what you're after, but for me, I like more of a tactile feel when I am inputting my sequences. I felt I had to use the screen a lot on the MPC Live to input the sequences, and that just kind of took away from the hardware feel of it. So the sequencer, if you're familiar with the electron sequencer, like if you had an analog 4 before, it's really the same thing. You plug MIDI out of your keyboard into your Octatrack and you'll pretty much control all your synths with that keyboard through your Octatrack. So the MPC Live obviously can do this too. It also has USB in the back, so you can use controllers with USB, which you can't do on the Octatrack. Another cool thing about the MPC is that same USB port can import data, so you can pretty much just load up things on that USB, put it into your MPC Live, and open up that hard drive. Another crazy thing is, if you have an Octatrack and an MPC Live, you can plug up your Octatrack into your MPC Live and look at your files there. So let's talk about ease of use. Which one is more user-friendly? So out of the box, I would definitely have to say the MPC Live is a lot more user-friendly than the Octatrack. But there's a reason for that. The Octatrack can do so many things in so many different ways. It takes a really long time to wrap your mind around the Octatrack. I know people that have had it for a year or two and they're still trying to figure it out because it's really a complicated device. The manual is thick. It's like a history book. It's crazy. It's really long and it's kind of confusing, but there's a really good manual out there called I think it's called Berlin's Guide or something. That's a very good manual for the Octatrack. So the Octatrack works with something called parts. The new Octatrack is supposed to have a better layout of the buttons letting you access parts. Wrapping your head around parts is kind of hard because tracks and parts work simultaneously together. So switching patterns, you'll still have the same part. It's really confusing. On the MPC Live, I felt it was very straightforward. You make a track, you choose if it's a MIDI, an audio, a clip track, you make another track, and so on. I felt building songs on the MPC Live was very easy. The touchscreen was cool too, but after a while I felt like I was just editing on a DAW, and that's what I was trying to avoid when going DAWless. I know I've said this before, but I'll say it again. The MPC, I feel the composition is very linear. You go in with an idea, you can make a beat and pretty much just add on to that. With the Octatrack, you're really taking an already created idea, or maybe not even an already created idea, but taking an idea that you didn't plan to have the end results that it has with the Octatrack. Especially now with conditional trigs, I know y'all excited about that. Octatrack is just going to be amazing after that happens. Now let's talk about the looper. So the looper on the MPC Live is a lot friendlier than it is on the Octatrack. There's a video I made about the looper on the MPC Live if you want to check that out. The Octatrack looper isn't really like a looper. I mean, yes, it loops, but it doesn't have an undo function, which is definitely a necessity when you're looping. And it's a lot more complicated to loop on the Octatrack, just like everything on the Octatrack. But with the Octatrack, I think if you put in the work, eventually it'll pay off and you'll make some nice ass beats. With the MPC Live, it's really easy to make a beat and finish a beat and export it into a song. You can pretty much export it into an MP3 inside of the MPC, which is a very nice touch. Let's talk about build quality. So hands down, Electron, Octatrack, metal, solid build, sturdy buttons. MPC Live, plastic, a controller with software inside. I'm sorry if you're gonna get pissed off about that, but that's just the way it goes. I've owned both of these machines. I actually sold my Octatrack to get my MPC before I went hybrid, and I immediately missed my Octatrack, but the MPC Live did everything I wanted my Octatrack to do. You can't really treat the Octatrack as a DAW replacement because it's definitely not. It's an audio mangler, and that's where I think people get confused. The MPC Live, I think it is more of a DAW enhancement. Like, you're gonna wanna use it with your DAW eventually. If you're trying to do things outside of the DAW, in hardware, I think the MPC Live is a good option. If you don't mind making your tracks elsewhere and then just uploading your tracks into the Octatrack and then mangling them and making a whole new complete track, then I say the Octatrack is for you. So if we look at the back of the MPC, we got 2 MIDI out, 2 MIDI in, 3 stereo out, 2 USB ports, and 1 audio in. The cool thing about the Octatrack is that it has 2 stereo ins, so you could pretty much use the Octatrack as an effects processor, as a mixer. You can pretty much just plug in 4 mono synthesizers into your Octatrack and just gig with that and not even have to worry about an external mixer or external effects. Taking audio and mangling it with the little fader is very fun for live performance. I honestly enjoy that a hell of a lot more than messing with the touchscreen and messing with the XY effects, which can't really be customized. The fader, you can pretty much customize every single scene that you have on the Octatrack. So that's another thing to consider. How much control do you want over live performance? Do you just want a backing track? Because I feel the MPC Live is a lot better at just pretty much playing a song in a consecutive order, and the Octatrack is a lot better for building and creating songs as you're going by, pretty much going with the flow. Another cool thing about the MPC Live is that it's battery powered. It's got an internal battery. I think it's like 6 hours if I'm not mistaken. Electron still hasn't taken the step to make their machines battery powered, not even the Digitect, which is a lot smaller. But it is a heavier machine. I feel like it is a sturdier machine. So you kind of, you give and take. Like, do you need portability? They have a lot of third-party adapters for the Octatrack if that's what you're trying to do to go jam outside. But I think that is something cool about the MPC Live, that you can pretty much just pick it up, sit on the couch, and put some headphones on and make a track. I don't have anything against editing notes on a piano roll, but I would much rather have something that feels more like a hardware sequencer. That's why the MPC Live sequencer isn't like totally mind-blowing to me. I do feel the sampling is very straightforward on the MPC Live. I really did enjoy the sampling on the MPC Live. It's really great to not be restricted to a 4-bar loop. You can have the loop be as long as you want it to be. And I feel that's really freeing, especially for keyboard players, because I feel like a lot of the loops that I write myself are 8 bars or longer. And when working with the Octatrack sequencer or even with the sampler, I feel I would have to work in 4/4 a lot of the time and then just build on from there and link patterns. That's probably one of the few annoying things I found about the Octatrack. But then again, it all goes with the workflow, because switching patterns on the Octatrack is really simple and really hands-on, and it's just part of the performance and really about your preference and how you want to build songs. So I've owned both of these machines. I'm not an expert on either. I've never claimed to be. If you guys are questioning my credentials, I'm just a regular user like you guys. This is just my opinion, so it's not really that one is better than the other. It really is what is right for you. So do you want a kind of DAW replacement, or do you want an audio mangler? That's pretty much it, guys. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe,